propaganda, 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 propaganda.
Diddy and Epstein's tactic, and Jake Tapper is a scumbag. That's a recurring theme because he is. Jake Tapper is probably the best at giving the appearance of being reasonable and truthful and not a scumbag while still being a scumbag. In fact, I just realized we have the names of 3 huge scumbags in the title today.
Nice.
Joined by Ian Covell. That was the music of Ridgeway. This is Propaganda Report. I'm Brad Binkley. Ian, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling pretty American today.
Feeling pretty American. Why is that?
There's just, you know.
Were you feeling Palestinian yesterday?
No, man, just feeling proud to be an American. Just every once in a while, I get a surge.
Yeah.
I just get like
Well,
a surge that goes through me, like an endorphin rush.
And grab a random woman, smack a kiss on her mouth, and then drink a Budweiser?
Of course. No, I got one of these cute, look at this adorable little bottle of water I have.
That's very adorable. Yeah.
So adorable. This is what they give actors.
These little, they live in the little baby waters, right? Yeah.
Because they know we couldn't handle it.
They spring on all the props and all the money, but they can only afford the little tiny baby bottles.
Yeah, little baby bottles.
To give you waters to drink. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this. I have to say, I'm loving the Diddy trial thus far, especially the courtroom sketches. Have you seen many of the courtroom sketches?
I've been very, very busy with a very annoying project at work, which has kept me away from the news, Brad. I'm pretty news ignorant right now, so you're going to get my reactions.
Well, the courtroom sketches, if you go look at them, they're all Diddy sitting in the corner masturbating. Every single courtroom sketch,
I might have
just like the theme. I'm kidding. They're not really of him masturbating, but you'll know why I said that when I tell you what the details of the first 2 days in court were. They might as well have been that. That's what the jury has been hearing about during these first 2 days. Let me set the stage from the jury's perspective here. So maybe a little play from we're going to take the position of the jury. You know, Diddy, his whole family's there, his mother is there, his children are there, and apparently he's been pulling a Bible out of his coat pocket and referencing it as much as possible. Meanwhile, on the stand, you have a witness who was a paid escort saying, yeah, Diddy paid me to piss on and bang his girlfriend while he'd beat off while sitting in the corner of the room. Jury then looks back over to Diddy, who's reading his Bible. Then they look back over to the witness stand. Oh, and he insisted that I never wear condoms. Jury looks back over to Diddy. He's holding his mother's hand. Back over to the witness stand. Oh, but once I couldn't get hard because Diddy was beating her, so he gave me a dick pill so I could then bang her. Back over to Diddy, who's praying with his children. Back over to the witness stand. Oh, and Diddy once got into a fight with a bro that he brought in to also bang his chick because he said that bro made eye contact with him during a 3-way. You know, back over to Diddy, there's a family hug or something going on. This is what the jury is hearing.
Wow.
At the trial.
Oh, my gosh.
And they're trying to present Diddy as this normal 55-year-old man. They let his beard gray. They put him in a sweater, and they gave him a Bible.
Did they really give him a Bible? Did they really go that far?
Yes. I'm not kidding about the Bible stuff or his family being there. It's crazy. I'll give you some more of the details of the. Well, before I give you some more details, the defense argument is basically like objection. The prosecution is kink shaming my client. Who here among us hasn't had a friend pee on Our Lady?
Well, they do have a point.
Some of the jury might be down with that. This is going to
be very relatable to most of America.
Well, they're trying to differentiate. Right, that's what everybody does all the time.
Yeah, you're right.
But they're trying to differentiate between sex trafficking and the crimes he's being charged with, racketeering and transporting people for engagement in prostitution, and somebody who just has a kink. And the way that they framed the argument, it was funny.
Because he's complicated, not criminal.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, it was a bad,
I did hear
relationship.
that. That made me chuckle.
And here's
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
defense said kind of in their opening statement. They said that the alleged victims in the case are capable, strong, adult, independent women. So they presented them as these capable women can make these decisions on
And then
their
they
own.
show the dildos. Let me show
Yeah.
you how strong and capable these women are.
Waggling
Here's some
them
of the
around,
dildos
you know.
that were
Oh,
used
sorry. It'd be
on the
knock a
Diddy parties. Look at this
cup
thing.
of coffee off the right. Yeah. And so
Need
you
a
know,
ladder to get up this dildo.
we could subpoena everybody in this room, and I bet they'd have to testify to owning one of these bad boys, especially you, Your Honor. So here's some more details of the case. This is from the transcript. This is, I don't know this guy's name, but it's a dude from TMZ. I'll let him read the truly gross details that were revealed from Diddy's pregnant
that
ex-girlfriend.
sketch. Is that your sketch? Is that an AI sketch or is that a real sketch?
No, that's a courtroom sketch that was up on screen. Yeah, that's a real courtroom sketch. I love the courtroom sketches. I mean, it makes the lawyer look like very tiny, and it makes Diddy look like he's 18 feet tall, and like
here, lawyer.
like he's humping the lawyer.
Come
And
here,
this-
little lawyer.
Diddy's the weirdest, ugliest person I've ever seen. Too, like you couldn't get his face any closer. He looks like a Snapchat filter. So it's got to be difficult for the courtroom sketch artist. But here's TMZ reading from the court transcript. What's up,
An
JC?
example. Here's another one, and this gets a little bit graphic, okay? Prosecutor, did you want to be urinated on? You know, it came out with the sex worker who testified earlier that that he would urinate at Diddy's direction on Cassie. So during the freak-offs. So, prosecutor, did you want to be urinated on? Defense, objection. And they get into the objection, the judge overrules it, and she says, no, I did not want it. Prosecutor, how did it feel? Cassie, it was
Wet.
disgusting.
Warm.
It was too
Salty.
much. I choked. No one could think I wanted it.
And that makes your listen to that part right there.
No one could think I wanted it.
No, not that.
Wanted.
The
Prosecutor,
choked?
how did it feel?
Oh, God.
Cassie, it was disgusting. It was too much. I choked. No one could think I wanted it. Prosecutor, why were you choking? Cassie, too much urine in my mouth.
Which is also a new Diddy song.
Prosecutor, who else urinated on you? Cassie, Sean. So it wasn't just the sex worker, it was Sean, according to Cassie.
I love how he emphasizes that it was also Diddy that urinated in
Poor
her mouth, and
people.
not that
I'm
she
sorry
had her
to
mouth
laugh at
urinated
this.
in.
I know.
Did you want Sean to urinate on you? Cassie, I didn't want anyone to urinate on me. Prosecutor, how often did it happen? Answer, often enough.
It's a courtroom sketch of Diddy urinating from the defense table.
The follow-up should have been, is often enough 3 times?
4
5
times?
times?
Could you open your mouth for the jury?
Could you show us, how you were positioned? Your Honor, may I approach the bench with a pitcher of water?
She's pregnant too, by the way. And she's 8 months pregnant. While she's saying all this.
And then, prosecutor, why didn't you say no? And this is what the defense is going to seize on.
So if I'm the defense attorney, I'm going to have my other attorney come up and I'm going to say, could you please? I'm going to try to pour this into my co-counsel's mouth, and then they stand there and they tilt their head up, but they just keep their mouth shut. They just pour it all over their face.
Yeah.
As you can see, he chose to keep his mouth shut, Your Honor.
Cassie, it was obvious I didn't want to be on the ground being urinated on by 2 men.
On the ground. I love how the details emerge with each.
I love that it was obvious. Well, I mean, are you sure?
But you're on the
it was
ground
obvious?
and your
You're
mouth
on the
is open.
ground, your mouth is open. I mean, it looks like you want to be urinated on.
Maybe they didn't want to be urinating on you.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever think they didn't want to be urinating on you?
And then she says she never explicitly consented. But here's the thing about that. She says she didn't
opened her mouth.
explicitly consent. The real issue is Did she explicitly object? And
I mean, that's what the lawyers do. So this is a position the defense is taking. I know we're making jokes, but this is a woman who claims she's being psychologically manipulated, and that she felt she could not say no to this.
Do you know how you prove them wrong? If you are the prosecutor, you walk in with a bag of your own poop the next day and you smear it all over the face of one of the defense attorneys, and you say, you didn't object. You just didn't.
Does it have to be your own? Can it not be like your dog's?
Well, I figured that's the easiest place to get it from. I guess you get it from your dog. I don't have
Where's
a dog.
the lie, bad Christian? Oh, piss on me, Diddy. Yeah. All right, let's see. I think there's a little bit more here.
And that, again, is what the defense is going to seize on in this case. That to
How does he know
convict
that?
Diddy,
He's not a lawyer.
you have to show
no,
he did this against her will. He forced her to do it. He coerced her into doing it.
So that's where they're trying to differentiate between, where you just
Really?
also kinky and versus, what's up, Sonia? Or did he force you to do it? And this is where we're going to make some of the Epstein ties here in a second. But there's a little bit more from the transcript, which this is also a little bit disgusting. So warning there.
Take the children out of the room.
Yeah,
we know,
earmuff the
we know a lot of
children.
kids like to watch
A lot
this
of
show.
children listen to this show for sure. And Bad Christian says that he consents to the Diddy piss. Well, you need to go be a character witness, I think, at this trial.
Yeah, run to that courtroom. It's
With your
the
mouth
trial's gonna be
open.
going on for a while.
Yeah, let him do it right now, Diddy. So here's what it says right here. They talked a lot about the freak offs. There were headshots shown. I guess headshot. I guess they got all these people together and took headshots of them for some reason. There were headshots shown in court today of around half a dozen males, many with shaved heads, who Ventura identified, that's his ex-girlfriend, identified as some of the paid escorts from the freak-offs, including one smiling man Ventura said she only knew as the Punisher.
So this guy was a paid escort?
Yeah, he paid these people
So
to
he
pee
hired
on her and bang
stunt
her.
dicks.
He hired stunt dicks, and he insisted that they not wear a condom. And they did these freak-off sessions, as they call them all the time. And I love that one of them's nickname was the Punisher.
The Punisher. Oh, my God.
And I don't think it's because he punished bad guys. I think
don't
it's
think
because
so?
he was punishing...
Oh, you think he was punishing that.
Yeah, that. Yeah, I don't. Maybe they'll get to that tomorrow. But this is the most disgusting passage that I've seen so far. Freak-offs that had sessions of Ventura being urinated on by escorts and Diddy himself, as the jury heard again. Again, they heard this a lot. Again, and they're looking back and forth at Diddy and his mom and his Bible and his kids to the witness stand and the pee in the mouth and all this stuff. Sessions that left pricey hotel rooms covered in urine, baby oil, candle wax, and more, including blood. This is a quote from her on the stand. "I was expected to have freak-offs during my period," she said. She also revealed that after the sessions with the escorts, she and Combs would go into a private bedroom so she could smear the semen that had been ejaculated on her
God. Oh, my God.
on her then boyfriend's Diddy's body, especially his nipples. And I want to emphasize, also, it was testified that
Fuck.
Diddy insisted he wasn't gay. He would always insist he wasn't gay.
Well,
But then
I mean,
he's
he
like,
didn't
bang
do it
my girl.
himself.
You're right.
He did have a girl put it on him. Okay? That is so gross, Brad. I am so glad the kids left the room.
I told you it was gross.
That is disgusting.
But,
That is
I'm
the most
just-
disgusting
think about
thing
the
I've ever heard.
logic here.
This is
I'm
what
a
happens.
heterosexual. Now let's get some guys in here to bang and pee on you, and then I want you to get all of their liquids, and I want you to rub it on my nipples as a heterosexual guy.
How fucking bored do you have to be with sex for that to be what gets you off? How like I'm so glad. I'm so glad I've never lived a life of such opulence and decadence that I have to have my girlfriend smear semen
I
on
think
my
when you make
chest.
that request, get that man's semen and tweak my nipples with it. I think there's a self-reflection that needs to happen.
I don't ever want to date a girl who would go along with that. I'll tell you that.
What was your last boyfriend like? Well, yes. So, according to her, all she did during the final couple years of this was a 10-year-long relationship with Diddy, was these all-consuming sex sessions from the freak-off parties, and that her relationship was freak-offs and getting abused physically and psychologically by Diddy. He controlled every aspect of her life. Like, he filmed it. He told her what to wear. He got all the guys there. And one might ask, which is probably is going to be raised, and it is being raised by the defense, why did she go along with it? Why wouldn't someone who could seemingly leave in this situation? Why
She
wouldn't they
should've
just
got
go?
up and left?
Just got right out. Well, I mean, she might slip. She has to be very careful. It's a very
Right. I mean, Diddy might
slippery
beat
room.
you up and down the hotel hallway.
Well, so that was apparently that video apparently of him beating her happened in between freak off sessions. She was trying to leave to go to one of her premieres, she said, and when she tried to leave, he went out there and beat her and made her come back in and do another freak off session. So I'm imagining while he's out there beating her, you have a room full of guys in there, the Punisher probably, just like holding their dicks going, what are we doing if there's not a girl here to bang and urinate on?
Jeez.
And so he brings her back in there. The Jonathan Audi police interview was wild. Says frightened me. Diddy's sex slave that received $5 million and an NDA. I don't think I saw that entire. I think I heard that, but I don't know the details of that. Frightened me. You have to check that one out. He was arrested in a shootout with police at Trump Doral. I remember that story.
How do these people make these decisions and get there? I've made some pretty bad decisions, but they've never led me there. How do you start? What's the ball that gets rolling?
Are you talking about with Diddy, or are you talking about with the girl?
Well, how do you even get into the Diddy world? What's the
yeah,
ball that rolls?
they met-
What's the right turn in your life that you when you should have taken a left, or you know what I mean?
So there's a common theme. I'm glad you asked that question. So you have with like a Harvey Weinstein, with a Jeffrey Epstein, with somebody like Diddy, is there's somebody who has something that other people want. And in the case of Diddy and this girl, is she wanted to be a singer, and I don't remember what bar they met at, but she was young. She was like 20, and he was like almost 40, I think, at the time. And she was very sexually inexperienced. And he brought her into this world and taught her about oral for the first time, she said on the stand. Cut to Diddy holding his Bible, cut back to her talking about, he taught me oral. I was very sexually inexperienced.
Of course.
Yeah, and so she wanted to be around somebody who was fun, somebody who like was in that world, and he charmed her. And
is he like, let me show you how to suck this wiener?
right, that's how he showed her.
I'm gonna teach you how to do some
Then he
good oral.
folded his body in half.
Come here, Punisher.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. No. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it to you, Punisher. Then I'm gonna do it to myself. So, one explanation for this, and hearing the way this is described, it sounds very similar to Jeffrey Epstein's victims, would be learned helplessness. Why didn't she just leave? She had been conditioned to be. She learned helplessness, which means she was victimized so badly that she would not even leave, even if the door was wide open, knowing that she was going to be tortured again. Just like those dogs in the experiment were tortured over and over and over again, to the point of they wouldn't walk out of the cage, even though they knew that they were going to be tortured again, because they felt they no longer had any control over their lives or the paths they could take. The experiments, by the way, here's the connection I'm making, because I'm going to continue making this connection, that were done by Martin Seligman, who's the University of Penn, their positive psychology center head. He founded that center, who Jeffrey Epstein funded that center, the creation of the positive psychology center at UPenn. Martin Seligman, who, after getting that money from Epstein, would help Epstein get that sweetheart deal that helped Epstein go from facing life in prison, which Diddy is also facing here, potentially life in prison, and got Epstein that 13-month slap on the wrist in 2008. And this this is all court documented. I've said it on this show many, many times. Mm-hmm. And despite this Martin Seligman guy, he's never been publicly questioned about his relationship with Epstein. That's documented. He was seemingly rewarded instead 2 years after helping Epstein get that sweetheart deal with a $31 million military contract through that UPenn Center, which Epstein had funded to conduct psychological experiments on the Army to brainwash them into being more able to kill without conscious. Not to mention, his learned helplessness theory was used to create the post 9/11 Guantanamo Bay and CIA black site program, torture program, and he has ties to MK Ultra, and the Unabomber was heavily inspired by his work, calling the public the dogs that were being tortured so badly that they developed learned helplessness. He's so connected to the government and the CIA so deeply, and his theories are so prevalent throughout society and so dependent on the powers that be to controlling society that they cannot expose this guy. He's the only guy mentioned in this court document that I've shown on this show who has never been questioned or even mentioned in the same sentence as Jeffrey Epstein, except on this show. Because if they expose him, he's still in that position of power. I pulled something up the other day that rated him the #1 most powerful, influential psychologist in the world and the #10 most influential in all of history. Because if they expose him, they expose themselves because of the deep ties and because of the fact they gave him $31 million after they knew he had helped Epstein and been funded by Epstein. $31 million to a program that Epstein funded. That's why they're not going to expose him. And you see the use of it by people like P. Diddy, the tactic of learned helplessness. And when you read the way they say that Diddy talked to them and the abuse tactics, physical but also psychological, I'm not saying Diddy was a student of learned helplessness. I'm saying somewhere he learned how to use the same tactics that were used on those dogs.
Sure.
And I think that is the type of thing that they don't want the public knowing about. Because they
you think
rely
he was
on
coached into this? You think he was?
I think he
mentor.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he probably did have some sort of mentor. People can learn these things, just maybe if it happens to them, they can learn from their abuser. But they also can teach it because there is literally manuals from this guy on how to do it.
Diddy had the money to explore any number of hobbies. And this is what he explored. He could have
pee in my girl's mouth.
Yeah, he could have learned a new instrument. He could
take that condom off, bro.
Pottery.
Yeah.
Glass blowing.
Right.
Surfing.
This is what he chose.
He chose this.
He chose, yeah, very similar. I think the more we hear about this, the more parallels we're going to hear about learned helplessness. That's exactly right. And I don't present this stuff in the sensationalistic way that people like James O'Keefe do. Well, I shouldn't say this stuff because James O'Keefe doesn't present anything. James O'Keefe
goes on gay dates.
Just goes on gay dates. And he's a musical theater guy. So I revealed more in 5 minutes than James O'Keefe has revealed ever in any of his videos related to Epstein. Yet he's made lots of money off of his. So he's very good at that. That's what I
figure that out, Brad.
Suck at is that aspect of it.
Figure that out.
But the one that he released today, this is why I'm bringing this up again, was another 2-minute video. And he was like, "We're gonna show this video that we got from an insider." Inside the St. James house of Jeffrey Epstein, never before seen until now. And then it shows this inside of a house, and it's like, oh, wow, that's an empty kitchen. And then he goes, and then you see on the wall over there a picture. And you see the picture on the wall. And the picture is of a baby in a bathtub, naked, getting a bath. It's just it's the type of picture that parents have. And it's on the wall in this Epstein house, and the baby is holding a rattler toy. It's very clearly a rattler toy. In fact, somebody even found the exact rattler toy that it was. Now James O'Keefe, when he described it, what he said, on the wall in this kitchen is a picture of a baby who's naked holding a phallic-like shaped object. So that's how he described what was obviously a toy. And that was the entire video right there. That was the revelation that he teased last week, that the week before he said he was going to go into hiding because of, combined with the other, nothing burgers that he released, was this phallic-shaped object in this baby's hand, naked baby's hand, which that picture is only so what I tweeted about this, along with many other things, was, is it creepy that Jeffrey Epstein had a photo of a naked baby taking a bath on his kitchen wall? Yes, it is. You know what else is creepy? When a musical theater homo who films himself going on gay dates calls the toy in the baby's hand a phallic-shaped object instead of a toy. That's also very creepy. Nevertheless...
Talk about failing a Rorschach test.
And the questions, like, people will respond to some people did criticize him, but they're like, "Oh my gosh, wow!" What do you mean, "Oh my gosh, wow"? So here's what you ask here: who did he connect Epstein to by showing that video? Nobody, not one person. What did he reveal that anybody didn't know about Epstein? And that nothing, absolutely. What implications did he show for the control? No, he showed absolutely nothing of any relevance with that video. Yet because of the sensationalistic bullshit, he gets all these views, and people bitch at me when I'm like, this guy is a flaming homo who goes on nothing but gay dates and calls it investigative journalism, and he grifts off of all you guys. And the stuff that we show, that we're talking about right now, this learned helplessness, which you see it in every corner of society. It's like right now in the Diddy trial, we're seeing the very, very parallel to Epstein in many ways. He's not going to talk about that, because that's not. If he talked about that, one, he'd be stealing it from us, which that'd be the only way he would. But two, probably because he's probably somewhat controlled in and of himself. The government's not going to reveal it because they're implicated. And I'm not saying the people in the government right now, but the government itself.
He might not be doing much research at all. It might be being done for him.
He doesn't do it. Yeah, people send him stuff, and then he just turns it in to like a stage play and makes it seem like something it's not.
I wish he would release some musicals.
He forced the people he did release musicals. He forced the people who work for him. He spent like $20,000 on musicals, and he forced them to go watch him in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Musicals are the worst thing to ever happen to humanity. They're absolutely horrible.
They're terrible, dude.
They're terrible. They're fucking awful. Not a good one. No, none of them.
Yeah, I should have pulled it up before the show, but there is a video of him doing weird musical theater stuff. Which, if you do musical theater, that's fine. But like, this guy wants to be a musical theater guy.
Yeah.
Who is just pretending to be a journalist.
Yeah, I know.
Look, here it is. Look at this.
Project Veritas.
Oh, I didn't show it. Hold on.
You need an intro like that, Brad.
Exposed hypocrisy and fraud.
Do like a fucking 180 turn. Yeah, Brad, you need something like this, dude.
Look at this, dude.
Permanently suspended his account after he exposed
come on,
hypocrisy
you need
and
something
fraud.
like this.
This guy is a fraud.
A very controversial conservative group.
Promoting misinformation.
Punch someone in the face. Kiss a girl. Punch someone in the face as you're walking in the studio.
A coordinated disinformation campaign. According to Stanford researchers, coordinated disinformation
Sued the New York Times for defamation. Project Veritas just won a major victory in that case.
Come to you and offer you $100 million. You're not going to settle?
You think this queer's not compromised?
Give me a break. Come on.
This is the guy. This is the guy that people are. This guy is a homosexual who is compromised. You never seen this?
No.
Hey, look! He has a bulletproof vest on.
Suing Twitter for defamation.
I know it's crazy.
Take a video like that down, it would be due to a doxing concern.
Who the fuck does he think his audience is?
He's got. I don't know. And then look at the end of it. Have you been defamed? And
It's like a weird. It's like a weird mix of like Matrix and Max Headroom going on
Right.
there.
There's gonna be some stuff that come out about him in years that will show. That will,
But you know what you should do? You should dress up as your white dudes for Harris.
I should go in there and
Go
I
on a
should
gay
bait him
date
into
with
taking me on a
him.
gay date.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's a weird guy. And so he said he was in hiding, right? And what did he do while he was in hiding? Well, there was videos of him opening up a new office in Florida where he was having where he was doing exactly this stuff with that same vest on, doing this DJ stuff. The guys, none of his videos have ever been impressive at all to me. And my point here is that stuff like this, it distracts attention away from where the real revelations would be. And that is with this Martin Seligman guy. Can you imagine if the news focused on this guy and pressured him and said, what was your involvement with the CIA after 9/11? Why did nobody question you about the money you took from Epstein that's documented in court? Why did you help him get that sweetheart deal? It's right here. He wouldn't have got it without your help. Tell us. Then you got to ask the military. Then you got to ask, why did you give this guy money? They can't. Can you imagine if that was the focus? The entire power structure would be in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, look at the phallic-shaped thing in the baby's hand.
Oligarchy.
So the guy is a distraction.
Propaganda.
Like the very fact that he chose not to call what was very obviously a baby toy, a baby toy, but instead called it something that was going to trigger sexual. It looks like a dick. I'm surprised he didn't say
I wonder
the
how
baby
he reacts to a baby bottle.
The baby holding a phallic toy while appearing to be sitting in something shaped like an open butthole. Like it's so stupid, and it's the demand for sensationalism has never been higher and never been more profitable. Yeah, that's why. That's why we don't make any money with this show. Okay, so notice that in the Diddy trials coming forward, this theory, because that's going to be the argument from the prosecution. They might not use that term exactly, although they might, because the defense is going to say they made that choice. The prosecution is going to say, when it comes to the women, that they didn't have a choice because they had been conditioned by learned helplessness tactics and techniques, and so it was coercion. It's the same type of arguments that were made against Epstein. You know who they should have testify? Martin Seligman, the developer of the theory of learned helplessness, who is still the head of the UPenn Positive Psychology Center.
I'll never forget about the one-eyed kid.
The one-eyed kid.
Martin Seligman and the isn't that? Oh no, I'm mixing that up with the. No, that was the same thing. Epstein. Remember Epstein? They did some.
The guy. So Epstein.
Eye cancer.
He helped a kid. Another guy
helped him
part
out.
of his plea letter in the court document. They said Jeffrey Epstein's a saint, basically, and here's evidence of it. One of his employees, who he had never met before, came to him and he needed some more insurance because his kid had an eye condition. And Epstein insisted on getting his team of doctors and taking him to a special hospital. The kid lost an eye.
Yeah, he wanted to keep that eye.
But he's in a private school with his brothers now. So basically he did an experiment on him and messed his eye up.
Yep.
And then sent the kids.
Sorry about your eye, kid.
We're sorry about that. All right, so you got to go in a bit, so let's go ahead and look at it. But actually, one more quick thing here. I love this.
Sure.
I really want to see more of it. Somebody did, for his Law and Crime website, they did a Diddy trial AI. So they took the transcripts and they had AI create a video. And this is this is actually hilarious. The end of it is hilarious. Disclaimer, the following video is telling you it's AI generated. I think it's pretty obvious.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Maureen Comey, Matisse Steiner, Meredith Foster, Madison Smizer, and Christy Slavic for the government.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. You have Mark Agnifilo, Taney Garagos, Brian Steele, Alexandra Shapiro, and Jason Driscoll. And we're joined today by Mr. Combs. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Combs.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Have you heard the questions I asked the government attorney and your counsel and their answers?
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
I love the Diddy part.
Yes, I have.
You,
Your
Mr.
Honor.
Combs.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
He seems a little condescending. That good afternoon, Your Honor.
Have you heard the questions I asked the government attorney and your counsel and their answers?
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
Yes, I have, bitch, Your Honor. I want to see the rest of that.
Smack you
dude.
down, motherfucker.
Mother effer. I just wish you were masturbating in the corner. Frighten Me says Tripoli played a clip of y'all on doom scrolling earlier tonight. Is it a clip from the show that we did last night? Frighten Me? From yeah. That's cool. You'll have to check that out. All right. Okay, so we got a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Let's do, because I did have one thing especially for you, but I want to make sure to get that in.
Thank you, man.
We can just do the very beginning of this here. So there's a new book coming out. I've talked about this a good bit, but it's finally here. That's about Biden's deteriorating health in the White House. It was written by Jake Tapper and some other scumbags in the media because the whole operation, which began, at least
They have
from,
to now to maintain credibility.
yeah,
They have
and
to
that
write
was
it.
totally, and that was something that was like we talked about that on the show immediately following the Biden-Trump debate. That was very clearly an operation where they decided that we are going to not do what we used to do, and then we're going to act like we're just now finding out that there's something wrong with him, and find someone else to blame. And here's Tapper, the ultimate scumbag in so many ways, who went to a film school, by the way, like so many of these people did, at USC, and who is always invited to the CIA parties with all
these
the
liberal dudes have something
douches.
weird going on with their mouth.
A lot of weird mouth stuff, and
A lot of
especially
weird
with
mouth stuff.
P. Diddy. You know, the eyes being. I mean, P. Diddy's almost a Cyclops. He's like an inch and a half away from a Cyclops.
You ever seen David Pac-Man? He's got a weird mouth thing.
Try not to. Is he the one with the blonde
Destiny has
hair?
a weird. Yeah, Destiny has a weird mouth thing.
Who's Destiny? Like, I've heard of Destiny. I know he does like.
You know, I go
cucks his
down
wife.
these hate rabbit holes where I just get myself worked up watching YouTube.
Right.
And he's in there. He gets in that mix. He's just a know-it-all loudmouth. You know, I think he's
gamer,
as
right?
qualified as me. He's got an English degree too, I believe.
Isn't he a gamer?
Yeah, gamer. His big thing was like he came out and he talked about how he and his wife had this open, and she was way out of his league. How they had an open relationship and it always worked for them, and then like 2 weeks later she leaves him for the guy that she was. You know,
Right.
and
That was
it's
the
so
that was the
stupid.
bull.
It's just so
in the
dumb.
relationship.
Yeah, it's just so dumb when people think that shit is gonna work.
Yeah. Okay. So look, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play this other one for you, and then I'm gonna go back to the Tapper stuff after. And if you gotta go, that way you can dip when you gotta go, and we can go ahead and get this in. But you studied linguistics in college, right? As part of your major.
Ish. Yep. Part of my major.
Okay, so this guy, I don't know how to say his name there, but Polyglot. He was invited to give a speech at a high school for Language Week, and he did something that was pretty hilarious with it. This is really funny.
34-year-old millennial genuinely cannot understand it.
He's talking about their speak, their versus what the adults, how we speak.
Or at least couldn't understand it before I spent weeks immersed in TikTok videos studying your dialect to partial fluency. And because nothing drives home the importance of learning languages better than hearing someone else try to speak your own, I'm going to try to deliver the rest of this speech in your very own native tongue. Gen Alpha.
Why those sounds are in there?
But wait.
I don't get the sound. I don't get that joke. So I don't know why
well, they
people are
get it.
laughing.
They,
I don't know why
they
people
get
are
it.
laughing.
Yeah.
Of course, to facilitate the comprehension of my fellow elders on YouTube watching this as a video, I'll also be including subtitles in standard English. So, without further ado, it's low-key a huge W to be vibing here at Westtown High School for Languages Week. But chat, let's lock in. Bro came prepared. Now, I know it's giving Delulu for this chuggy boomer. to speak in such skibbity brain rot. But if you'll bear with me, I'll put the fries in the bag in just a second.
I mean, it's interesting to me because
this is really what they say?
Yeah, me and Josh, when we were driving to Tennessee for the Third Eye Carnival, he brought up skibbity toilet, and I was like, what? And I was, and then he said something about
what does skibbity toilet mean?
I had no idea. He said a couple words, and I was like, did you make those? He's like, no, these are real words people use. And so we started using them the whole way there. It was like 4.5 hours. We started talking to each other using these words, except we didn't know what they actually meant. We just were like making up our own meaning of them. And that's how we were talking to each other. So when I saw this video, I thought it was interesting. This guy's a total nerd. Y'all are right, who's giving the speech. But he also found a way to engage this audience who probably wasn't going to listen to they say, oh, we got to go listen to some douchebag or whatever the word they use for it at Language Week.
No one is excited about Language Week. I was probably the only kid in my entire high school that was like, no, I'm good at this.
Right, and so he
like
gets this
Language
audience, gets these kids to listen. It's an interesting tactic, but it's a reflection of modern society. There's also, X speak, where everybody speaks in acronyms and stuff like that. And he makes a comment.
I just want to go on my homestead farm.
I know, sorry, dude.
It hurts.
He made the comment before about how these students are bilingual and they don't realize it. And so that's like the greater point he's getting around to, is that they learned this language and it was just they didn't realize they have another language. So we'll listen a little bit more than we'll end it.
These are
I do actually have a message here. Type of shit.
Yeah.
This is why I get scared. When I'm very old and I get sent to some government old folks retirement farm because all these commies have taken over, these are the dipshits that will be taking care of me. And that scares the hell out of me.
These are the people who are going to be in government, too. They're going to be talking like taking care of you, running, deciding.
I guess every generation does this, right? I guess every older generation goes through
I feel like the mass communication and things like Twitter and the shortening of our attention span and stuff. We do all have our own lingo, but I feel like this is
that's true. And if language is evolving in communities that are online that people offline don't have access to, you're going to see language evolve in a way where I mean, you can already, if you take someone from the Appalachians and someone from Brooklyn and put them in the same room together, they're going to have a very difficult time understanding each other.
Right. Totally. And I'm imagining my dad when he was alive, or my mom when she was alive, like hearing this language, she'd have no idea.
You know the North Georgia accent? The North Georgia? Because I say, like Georgia. Georgia.
Go Georgia. Georgia Bulldog. Georgia.
Yeah, put some oil. You got to put some oil in that car.
Oil. No, yeah, I know that language. Yeah, you can hardly understand some of them.
Yeah.
And people with from the Bayou, some of their accents sound almost French.
Yes.
And they're very hard to understand. Kang's a flat earth, says frighten me. I don't know why that bombs in there.
As I was saying,
it's a weird camera view.
No cap, I was dead-ass pressed about understanding this language.
Dead-ass is another word Josh told me about that we made up and we were using the whole weekend.
But I had to absorb the drip so I wouldn't get aired by your generation.
That's what Diddy's ex said, absorb the drip.
High key, people think Gen Alpha slang is just memes and brain rot, but on God, it's giving a linguistic glow-up core happening IRL. Every time you drop a yacht or it's giving, you're legit patching the English language DLC with fresh updates, literally shifting the English meta. Language evolves because you're constantly cooking new ways to pass the vibe check, and honestly, your memes today finna hit as the textbook vocab of tomorrow.
That's what you were just saying right there. It's going to be the textbook vocab of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought that was interesting. So if you want to know how to talk to somebody of that age, if you have kids of that age, maybe this would be helpful. This little dweeb nerd here.
Yet Shakespeare's too difficult.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Shakespeare's way too fucking difficult, but I can listen to this dipshit babble on and on. Come on. Give me a break. me a fucking break.
You ought to
Sorry.
contact them and challenge them.
Yeah, I should.
These are white liberals. But maybe, I mean, they're high schoolers also. So they're probably whatever their parents are.
If I was an English teacher in school, I would be looking at all those kids. I'm like, I watched all of you understand what this guy just said. Sit down. We're reading The Tempest. All right, guys.
Dead ass.
Dead ass.
I still don't know what that means. I just, yeah. So what? No, the kid. I don't know. The kids, their parents might be, but they're in public schools, and they're on TikTok, and that's where they learn this stuff. Is these social media networks and from each other in public schools, and they're probably not reading Shakespeare. You're right.
Well,
there's not. I mean, if there's probably not as many homeschool kids working on a farm on a regular basis that are speaking quite this way.
Yeah, and no one puts it together in quite the dense format that no one actually would construct entire a monologue of this. They're sprinkling it in. You know,
right.
It's like
but
Spanglish.
He really made it. Yeah. So he kind of reemphasized it.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about my favorite Swedish scientist, Ian? Did I tell you about that already?
He's my favorite Swedish scientist. You're talking about Jacob Faggot.
I did tell you about that. I just want to make sure you knew about Jacob Faggot.
Yeah, of course I know about Jacob Faggot.
I'm still shocked that I got censored for hate speech on that while Heil Hitler niggas is getting millions of views. It's crazy to me. And then I saw people actually saying faggot and not getting censored, and that made me think that that's like my account's flagged. It probably is. I'm sure it is. Nevertheless, frightened me.
The Tempest is the best one.
The Tempest, right? You love the Tempest as well.
It's my favorite one.
Yeah.
It's a problem play.
You should dress up as your favorite.
It's got different categories of plays. This is a problem play.
And he solves a problem in it?
No. It's hard to categorize. Many people think it might have been the last play he ever wrote. It deals a lot with impermanence, mortality. I like it a lot.
Do you have a favorite quote from it?
Yeah, I mean that's the that is where the famous sound and fury signifying nothing monologue comes from. So it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Skibbity toilet.
Skibbity toilet.
Dead ass. All right, Ian. I appreciate you. Well, you joining us today. I'm going to play a little bit of this Tapper clip before I get out of here, but I know you got a dip, and we'll talk to you again Thursday, hopefully. Unless you want to stick around, it's up to you. So you're always welcome to stick around.
Oh, I gotta get going. But
all right, dude.
All right, man. I'll see you later.
Be careful, dude. We'll talk to you later. Can I speak his name here? Yeah, you speak his name here, definitely, Steve. Yeah, somebody left a comment about something you said. I'll send it to you. I can't remember what it was offhand.
Okay.
But it was interesting. All right, dude. We'll talk to you later this week.
All right, later.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so I'm going to play this clip I promised you guys. I think you guys have probably seen some of this, but Jake Tapper is at the forefront of pretending the media is not responsible for things. Oh, Reginald, there you go. Responsible for things that they actually are 100% responsible for. Tapper did this about a month and a half ago when it comes to COVID also. He acted like he wasn't telling people that they need to always trust doctors when he did a segment promoting his daughter's book where the whole theme was you should question doctors because they aren't always right. In a shocking display of hypocrisy. He was paid to lie, to tell people they must take the vaccine and trust their doctors, and then he got his daughter paid to tell people they should question things when they don't seem right. He's a whore, and he might as well have his mouth peed in by Diddy.
President Biden's closest advisors privately discussed the possibility that he may need to use a wheelchair if he won re-election because his physical health had deteriorated so much. That scoop out this morning from Axios. It's one of the many details in the soon-to-be-released new book titled Original Sin.
So just the presentation of this from this lesbian-looking Stacey Abrams-like lady, the seriousness, and then you have the lower third there that says new book details Biden's deteriorating health in the White House before 2024 election. You didn't need a book to detail Biden's 2024 his deterioration before the election, because we all witnessed his deterioration in every interview and every video of him walking around for the previous 4 years. It was well documented. And yet the seriousness of we're finally revealing just how bad it was. Us, the ones who covered it up when you all saw it, and we called you all conspiracy theorists. We are now, through the mouth of the Stacey Abrams-looking lesbian, revealing the truth.
Many details in the soon-to-be-released new book titled Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, its cover-up, and his disastrous choice to run again. It was written by Axios' Alex Thompson and CNN's own Jake Tapper. Jake is here to join us now. I'm curious about what his advisors were saying at the time as you look at this, as you reported out this book.
So the White House physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, was telling White House aides that President Biden's deterioration of his spine, the degeneration, was so significant that if he fell one more time, that he might have to be in a wheelchair and serve in a wheelchair.
Remember, we would play videos of him falling, and everybody else would play videos of him falling and point out how in bad of shape he is and how it's like elder abuse. Even if you don't like Biden, this is clear elder abuse. And now they're talking about, they would be like, no, he's fine. He's sharper than he's ever been. But now let's focus on the falling that we had. So they're either lying, which we know they are. If they're not lying, which they're claiming they're not, they're claiming they were the ones who were deceived, then they are clearly in more of a state of mental decline than Biden ever was, because they are the stupidest people on the planet. So if we accept their premise that they didn't see everything everybody else did, who wasn't blinded by confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance and propaganda, accepting that premise, then they are the stupidest idiots on the planet. That's the admission then. That's what the lower third should say. Jake Tapper admits he's the dumbest bitch on the planet.
For his second term. But everybody pushed off the notion that he used a wheelchair until after the election. This is all part of a larger whole where the Biden White House tried to hide the extent of his deterioration.
The Biden White House tried to hide it.
Both physical and cognitive, as much as possible. In fact, as we all know, we all saw, as his shuffling gait got worse and worse from 2003 to 2004, they started putting aides around him as he walked to Marine One, the helicopter that was to kind of...
Steve says that 1 year ago, Joe Scarborough told us that Biden is the best version of himself, sharp as a tack. Yeah, that's hilarious. I remember that clip. Can you imagine if CNN's a person here and the elderly person in their life is Joe Biden, or they're showing physical symptoms like Joe Biden is? You go over to somebody's house and their dad or granddad gets up and just falls down everywhere, can't remember who he is, talks to dead people, smells every person he gets near, and you say, hey, I think your grandfather might need to go to the doctor. He appears to have dementia and maybe some other conditions. And then that person goes, get out of here, conspiracy theorist. He's sharp as a tack. He's better than he's ever been. That's negligence bordering on abuse in a real world situation. Somebody who ignored that obvious of mental and health decline.
Hide from public view how bad his gait was, how bad his walking was, his shuffling, and also in case he stumbled again to make sure somebody was there. And this is just of a piece of an overall campaign to try to conceal from the American people the extent to which the president was really struggling to do his job.
You have an entire White House press corps, though, following him around. And I'm just curious as to whether or not this kind of trying to hide what was happening with the president at the time had an impact on the press corps. Like, why didn't we hear some of these details from what they actually saw and were dealing with trying to get information?
Well, Alex Thompson and I were on the case, as were lots of other reporters, trying to figure out what was going on behind the scenes.
They were on the case.
But the bottom line
the way James O'Keefe is on the case for Epstein is about as much as they were on that case.
is the White House was lying, not only to the press, not only to the public, but they were lying to members of their own cabinet. They were lying to White House staffers. They were lying to Democratic members of Congress, to donors about how bad things had gotten. And in fact, Alex and I started writing this book after the election of 2024, and we spoke with more than 200 people, most of whom, almost all of whom, were Democrats, and almost all of whom wouldn't be honest with us or wouldn't be candid with us until after the election. And then after the election, we found out all of these things that when you looked at what was going on with President Biden.
They were on the case, and they just couldn't get to the truth until afterwards. You know who Jake Tapper could have asked? He could have asked me. He could have asked any of you. He could have asked anybody with eyes and ears who isn't ideologically and emotionally brainwashed. This is the ultimate gaslighting right here by this cuck with this swarming, we were on the case. Jake Tapper was given an award and $2,500 by the White House Press Corps Association, or whatever it's called, for his work on breaking the story about the Russian dossier. He is credited with putting the term dossier, the dossier, into our lexicon. That is a real thing that happened and that was never taken back, that he was given money for. He was given money for a very blatant lie that most people knew was a lie at the time, that was later proven to be a lie. He hadn't given that money back, and now he's going to be making lots and lots of money, probably millions of dollars, off of writing a book revealing a cover-up that he was part of, aggressively part of. These people are scumbag pieces of trash who need to have their mouths peed in by P. Diddy. I don't care if they're choking on his pee. Diddy and all of the paid prostitutes need to piss into Jake Tapper's mouth until he vomits his bullshit up all over P. Diddy's dick. The Very Fine People hoax. Unbelievable. Playing the victim. Completely phony, gaslighting, profiting too. Profiting. We all saw this. We couldn't have written a book that laid out all the very obvious reasons Biden is in mental decline and how there's a cover-up. I mean, many of us have done shows and talked about it and talked about it on social media. We're not making millions of dollars off of it. Where's our money? And people still, some people anyway, believe this. I don't know that many people will buy it, but here's what I guarantee you. That book, I don't think it's out yet. It will be number one on Amazon Prime before it's even out. Because they're laundering money through these cucks and their stupid books that nobody reads. Who is at home going, oh my God, I can't wait to get my hands on the latest Tapper book exposing the cover-up about Biden's mental decline? Wow. Wow. Like, I bet literally not one person in America reads this book. Yet it will be number one on Amazon. And he'll get a cool million or so off of it. Going back to my point, he needs to be peed. He has his mouth peed in by Diddy. This is the sentences that they need. Jake Tapper needs to be prosecuted. That needs to be his sentence. So do all the other people on CNN and MSNBC, some on Fox News. And also, I would really enjoy it if part of Diddy's sentence, if he's found guilty, is that he has to, while behind bars, collab with R. Kelly and give the world Trapped in the Closet 2. The world deserves Trapped in the Closet 2, do we not? Trapped in the Closet by R. Kelly, if you haven't seen it. One of the most perfect pieces of art that's ever been made. And quite revealing into some of the realities of people in power and what we're learning to be the rap industry. We do live in a cartoon, but I want to see Trapped in the Closet 2 featuring P. Diddy and R. Kelly behind bars, both peeing inside the mouth of Jake Tapper. I think that's a good place to wrap up the show today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the talk in the chat. I appreciate you guys. Propagandafight.com is the website. Share the show. Share others. I want to get the information out there about Epstein. I'm going to make a shorter just video of it where I give out the basic information I've been giving, because Martin Seligman needs to be questioned. He needs to be investigated. That power structure needs to be exposed. And those in power who people are relying on to do it aren't going to do it. So we need to do it. Thanks, guys. It was fun. YouTube.com/Brad Binkley, Rumble.com/PropReport. Where else? Instagram, The Propaganda Report, and at Freedom Act Radio on X, where you can find all my links in bio. You can also, if you want to help support the show along with sharing it with friends, you can become a Patreon, or you can the patreon.com/Propaganda Report, or you can join Locals, propreport.locals.com, where you will get access to the audio version of this show ad-free if you're an audio version listener. I take out all the ads for listeners or for subscribers. And you'll get the premium content show that I do with Sam Tripoli and Austin Picard of the Underclass podcast called the Whatever This Is, which is a fun show. It's a really fun show. And you get that as well. And if you don't want to subscribe and you're listening on audio, you can just let the ads play through. But subscribe on whatever audio platform you listen to your podcast on, and share it with your friends, or leave a 5-star review and a comment. That warms my and Ian's heart. We appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. We will do it again Thursday. I might be back tomorrow. Time will tell. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day.